Garden Report is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. Final word from Charlotte, where we got the sequel to Tatum versus Grant in the back-to-back game between the Celtics and Hornets today. And we're sitting there wondering going in, though, would there be any response from the Celtics? Would there be any more dust-ups or interactions between the two teams here? And despite there being some weird moments, a furious Hornets rally to start the third and a close-ish game in the second half, this one ends up being a bit of a snoozer in comparison to all the fireworks we saw the other night here.
Yeah, it wasn't a great game just from a viewing standpoint, but I will say I actually thought that there was more that happened on the floor than I expected. I didn't think there was going to be any brawl or actual hard foul or anything in response, but there were just little moments between Luke and Grant and Derek White and Grant even. It just felt like there was some feeling that something had happened and that there was some weird vibe, I guess, between Grant Williams and many of his former Celtics teammates. So just a weird atmosphere. He didn't really embrace them afterwards. It's just weird because yesterday morning we saw him, and that was before the two games, and things seemed really fine and great. And so curious what longer term ramifications this incident will have. I'm assuming long term this will probably blow over, but right now it feels like it still had some impact on the flow of the game today. Yeah,
and they came late. There was one weird intentional foul Grant laid on Tatum, drew a lot of boos. We heard boos for Grant in the opening lineups due to all the Celtics fans here, and every time he touched the ball effectively, he was base guarding the inbound and sort of brushed up against White and hit the floor. That was another weird one. And then a couple moments where they lined up one-on-one in this game. There weren't many, but late I think Tatum went right by Grant, dunked, and sort of swung back and bumped Grant a little bit. I don't even know if any of this stuff is anything, but we had our eyes on every possible time they lined up or every little interaction. And as you mentioned, when he left the floor, Tatum darted off, didn't greet anybody, and Luke gave Grant a handshake or something. That was about the gist of the post-game interaction we saw between them.
Yeah, it was pretty limited, and I think, I'm sure Tatum wants to move on from this. I'm sure the Celtics are ready to move on from this story. They came here, they got the 2 wins against the Hornets team that we thought highly of, you thought highly of going into the game. It was more you than me, but you were starting to sell me a little bit. So.
Game 1, we saw the real Hornets. Tonight, just not enough guys to compete. You mentioned Tatum not going any further in terms of commenting on this. Here was our attempt to get him to say something about this after the game.
I don't really want to talk about it. Just got ready for the game today. We came to Charlotte, did what we were supposed to do, and we're going to Atlanta try to get another win before we go home.
When something like that does happen, is part of you I want to score 40 the next time I play this guy, circle it on the calendar? Obviously, this was a unique situation where we come back the next night. How do you want to respond to that in such a situation?
No, I don't ever make it about one person. I understand who I am in this league, and I come out and play the right way. It's not about a matchup or anything. So just come out and try to dominate, give my team the best chance to win, and playing the right way, whether that's scoring, rebounding, screening for other guys. The objective is to make sure we give us the best chance to win. So it's not about situation, no other person.
So to me, we have Gary's report earlier that Tatum called Grant, and they.
I don't know that it was called.
Grant apologized.
The report was just they
phone.
spoke, I think.
Yeah, so they spoke at some point. Grant apologized. Tatum, while annoyed, Gary said, accepted the apology there. And I think that was a pretty good reflection of what the tone ended up being here between them. And it makes sense that Tatum didn't want to say anything after that happened if they did put it behind them, because I think last night he doesn't wants to actually talk to Grant and address it. So I think that shows, however you feel about the Grant situation there, they do have a relationship that Tatum cares about. And then today, with it behind them, doesn't want to say anything.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Tatum just doesn't like being in the news story for things that he said or quotes or things. And he's smart, so he said the right things in this presser. He said he doesn't want to talk about it. He talked about how he's not going to try to go off just because the team is, just because this thing happened. He's going to play within himself. And I thought he played a good floor game today, and Joe Mazzulla did as well. So it's the end of the story for now. I'm sure Grant will hear it when he's in Boston, but we'll see.
No Brown tonight. They win without him. Win going away in this one for the most part. Pretty easy cruise to victory for the Celtics in this one, despite a second half Hornets rally attempt. Brown will get a second MRI, according to Gary Washburn, on a hip flexor strain that forced him to miss this game, so we'll have more on that in Atlanta as we get updates there. For Noah Dalzell, SB Nation, you got Boston here on CLNS Media. I'm Bobby Manning. This has been the Garden Report in Charlotte. Check out the post-game show tonight, as well as all the player interviews after the game over on CLNS Media and Celtics All Access.